2.5 hours in the day to listen to. Well, I guess if you're listening while working.
A difference between my generation and your generation is not in a good or bad way. My generation is listening to stuff as they do everything. Like there aren't many moments. Like you'll go out in your yard and you'll do work, and you're probably not listening to anything. My if I'm cleaning the kitchen for 20 minutes, I can't not listen to anything. Like something's got to be.
That is because my wife likes to play music when she's like working around the house and stuff. Yeah. And acoustic alchemy, those are some of the big ones. Yeah. I find the music
distracting,
uncomfortable. Yeah, it's weird. No, and God bless her, she watches. She is probably one of two of our viewers. Thanks, I love you, dear. But yeah, it's weird. It really is. I will go down to my workshop, work on something for 2.5 hours, and I would find the music distracting. So I don't know. It's again the generational piece. But you were out last night. Look at you again. You lead in a good way, a very monastic lifestyle. You're very centered on health, and you work out, and you treat your body well. Now, granted, having been your friend and coworker for 9 years, I've seen you go through the entire. I mean, we could pull out the yearly books of Frank's, and there's some great stories we'll share at some point.
Sure.
But you were out last night.
Yeah. Not used to being out. Man, I was out at this point.
Yeah, see, you've come over to the dark side. That 8:30's late.
Tuesday, I was out because there were some people in town, but I did got to the happy hour right when it all started, and as soon as everybody was getting drink 2 or 3, and now they're feeling good and everything else, I just slipped right out. And nobody noticed me because they were all, and not that anybody cares that Frank's around. Maybe they did notice and they celebrated. But last night,
I saw you leaving. It hurt my feelings.
You weren't. Last night was the NFL draft party at our friend Peter Klink's.
Good man.
It was funny, dude.
He is the guru of risk at tasting.
He is almost like my Italian grandma, rest in peace, in that she will spend the whole day heckling you, or even her thing was she would hit us with a wooden spoon if we were acting up, and of course we're 6 years old, we're always acting up. And then when it came time for dinner time or something like that, or we needed something or whatever, the switch flipped, and she was went into maternal, paternal, whatever you want to say, mode. And it's here's a ton of food. Here's do you need this? Do you need that? And Clink is constantly harassing me. Oh, you're not going to wear those shoes to my house. Oh, you're going to go home and change, right? You're not going to look like that. This whole thing all day, all week. And we get there, and the guy has drinks all over the place. I don't drink alcohol. He's got 10 different ginger beers, knows that I like ginger beer. He's got, Clink, I think you ran out. No, I got another 6-pack of ginger beer in the other fridge. He's got the whole thing. He's got 20 piles of dough because he got this.
Because everyone's making their own pizza.
Right? Everybody makes their own pizza. He's got more. But before even the pizza making, he and Jason, we got this Italian sausage. We went to Little Italy, got this Italian sausage and these rolls so you guys can eat that. We've got these cheeses and dips. And it's just nonstop eating and drinking and just being nice to everybody and playing host. So it was really nice. It was hard to leave. I'll say that, because then there's also.
Well, Glenn wanted to head over there at 2:30 in the afternoon. He was starting to Jones. I mean, he's still coming off his. I think he was just starting to sober up from Tuesday. And that's always that gray area. It's not good.
He's feeling good 24, 48 hours, and is actually, you know what? I can get right back into this.
Wow. And I bet he did.
I tried to scare him yesterday with he has to do the show today, and he didn't like that. And then when I was leaving yesterday, someone was like, "Oh, Glenn, are you doing the show tomorrow?" And he was like, "Nope, woo!" And he goes back to the bar for
really
for I don't know.
All right,
glass of wine
that will go
20.
into your evaluation, Glenn.
We actually haven't done that yet.
Yes.
So good timing.
Good
but
timing.
Yeah, it was
good.
It was
you had
fun.
a good time.
The Bears were supposed to draft. Did you watch any of it?
Glenn told me they're supposed to draft some tight end that was going to solve all of our problems.
First of all, of course, they drafted a tight end that was supposed to solve all the problems 3 or 4 years ago. The Cole Kmet. Remember, it was like,
Yeah,
oh,
right.
he's from like Chicagoland area, and he went to Notre Dame, and it's like he's still on the team, but they need to draft another first-round tight end. But it was funny because they're like, oh, they're gonna draft this Tyler Warren guy, like he's the best. He's from I don't know what, maybe he went to like Texas or maybe Penn State. Yeah, I think Penn State.
Look at that.
And yeah, look at you. And they and the picks coming in, and all the Clink and Bob and Terry and everybody's like excited, like, oh man, like Tyler Warren, like he hasn't been picked yet. I
hope they pick like a field goal kicker or something.
They pick a tight end, but they pick the Michigan tight end, who was supposed to be like the second best tight end, but they must have really liked him. Colson Loveland, who I watched a lot.
University of Michigan?
University of Michigan.
Oh, man. So.
And so they all are immediately like,
scary.
oh no, like what happened? And I'm like, yeah, they took my guy, and Clink and the boys are mad. So it was like a double.
It was a dream. It was a dream. They were angry. And again, Frank's a University of Michigan alum, majoring in math and small animal husbandry, which you can only do at Michigan, that dual major. It's exceptional.
That's right. That's
So,
what they're known for.
yes.
But yeah, it was a fun night.
Good.
Danielle was there. Her husband Sean is
Good guy.
the funniest, the funniest guy I've met in years.
Fantastic.
But yeah, good time. Let's
get into the markets,
let's
guys.
get
Let's
into
put
it.
some of that math to work, my friend.
Let's do it. Dollar rally continuing. I got in so late this morning that I haven't seen anything. I think equities they were moving higher last night. Equities.
They were moving. They had it. Yeah, we're on a 4-day up streak. So we'll see if we go out the week positive. But we're starting the day positive in equities. But this is really, whenever we have spurts of vol like this, we go into what I call like a hangover period. This is a little bit of it. We're still getting wider. We're getting wider ranges, but there's you could see a little of the zeal. Now, this morning they released some interview from the president saying that he has talked to the Chinese, and the Chinese keep saying nobody's talked to us, nor are we talking to them. So that put a little bit of pressure on U.S. equities, but it seems like they're coming back in. What's really gotten quiet are treasuries. Treasuries are very wrapped around unchanged. We're seeing, again, it's very much range coming in. Gold got all the way up to 33.75 or 85 last night. We're down to 33.20. Again, 3,300 is still huge in gold, but off of, they're $180 off the high. So we're seeing the ranges get tested back and forth. No new breakouts in anything. Not in crude, not in metals, we got to the upper end in euro yesterday a little bit. Cable too. But that's kind of softened up a little bit as we go into this week. So it'll be interesting to see if this is a tired Friday, because you got to imagine there's a little bit of, thanks, Frankie. There's a little bit of exhaustion right now and fatigue. So do we see us, it'll be interesting. We probed the bottom end of the range again. We talked about that practical range. 113.10 to 115 is your range, or 114.50 is your range. Continue to hold again. We tested it lower this morning and last night, and we're back into the middle of the range here.
It's super interesting, and I'll bring up the dollar yen just because I feel like everything's in a similar spot except for the commodity currencies, which we'll take a look at in a second. But to your point, looking here at the hourly chart in dollar yen, you see the getting up to 143. This is when I think you and I jumped on, or no, I jumped on with Paul on Wednesday, right, and we talked about how they got up to 143 overnight going into Wednesday, and on some like illiquid time of night news. They bring it back to 142, so a couple hundred points higher, and then 100 points lower, and then they try 143 and a half here on Wednesday late afternoon. Come back, and then last night going into this morning, trying that 143 half again. So it feels, it's one of those that it feels like the dollar's been rallying all week. Like it feels like, man, we're pretty far from where we started the week to the upside in U.S. dollar.
Yeah.
But they have sold into it pretty much every time.
Absolutely.
Are we higher? But we're not that much higher.
I agree. But so a couple of takeaways. The ranges are getting defined, and we're going to accept that. Again, it's not one. We're not going back to 150 yen. Could we? Sure. I don't know. It's hard enough. It's hard enough trying to guess minute to minute, let alone day to day. But we're going to accept a new range. We're going to bring in our levels of what we think, because we're seeing the markets are starting to adjust to that a little bit. They're getting a little less sensitive to any tariff tweets. Yeah, we get moves, but we don't get 100-point rips anymore.
Yeah.
We get 25, 30, and then it kind of comes back. So the unknown unknowns, which are things like that, seem to have less impact into the equation right now. Disconnect to U.S. equities, yeah, you would think 4 days of U.S. equities being up, you'd see a dollar bullish move. Really, all we saw is a ceasing of the continuous selling of dollars. We saw a pause, and when that selling stops, yeah, we trough off the bottom a little bit. I can't say that we've seen tape action that says we've turned the corner, and that's going to be a structural low.
Yeah.
So I think there's still opportunity. There's great opportunity here, but if you're pinned from 150 long, you got to think about what you're managing.
Sure.
Because getting back to that, I'm accepting the new trading range is pretty well defined here, 141 to 145.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to accept. And we can walk through everything to see that a little bit.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. Because
A little rotation out of the commodity currencies, softness. I looked at them yesterday and I was like, boy, that Kiwis went out today in Chicago afternoon time, 59.90, close to 60 cents. And I was like, they're going to put some more into this. And I'm like, and I ended up not doing anything, but here's a case where this has been continually. I mean, think about 60-cent Kiwi. We were spending a lot of time 55 and a half, 56. These have been true movers. So we're seeing a little bit of give back here, a little bit of congestion back against that 60-cent level. Aussie, same story, to a little bit greater degree. So
a little bit weaker on the rally here, this Aussie piece than Kiwi, and yeah, just 64 cents is not 60 cents in Kiwi, if that makes sense. You would have hoped that we were 65 66. Yeah.
If it looks structurally the same, you're right. Kiwi has outperformed. It also was hit the hardest on the downside.
Sure.
So that kind of makes sense. So what have we seen? An unwinding of the rubber band. Things are starting. What had underperformed, we had a period of outperformance, i.e. Aussie and Kiwi. Now we're seeing them give back a little ground while Euro and pounds are muddling around the lower part of their 90th percentile range for the last 6 months.
But it will be interesting going into next week. I mean, what happens today will definitely be interesting because there are already some markets that are trending in some, especially heading into the close of Europe here today, where things are left will be interesting for next week, for sure.
That's a great point. And when you think about timelines, the next 3.5 hours up to that 10:30, 11 o'clock London close are going to give us some tradable opportunities.
Sure.
I think after that, it gets a little sloppy. And it'll be a little bit harder to.
Pulling up the 15-minute chart, I mean, just looking at this Kiwi piece, you've seen in the last 24 hours that trip up to 60 cents and then a 50-point pullback, which is high to low in the last 24 hours here. I mean, that's almost a 1% move because this is, a 59, 60 cent underlying market here.
Trade setups here are perfect, though. This is what I like is if you're not damaged by the emotional baggage of getting really stuck in something for a long time.
The actual price level. If you're not like, oh man, 60 cents, that means something to me.
Yeah. It's like, all right, the setup is here, 59.50. We've had a 50-point pullback from the highs. Let's see if the market generates some renewed interest here. And if I'm wrong, I know where I'm wrong. If it prints 59.30, I'm out. I love those kind of setups here. It gives you, this one plays through really easy in my mind. You're not looking for home runs, but I still think if we see a little bit more stability in equities and stuff, we'll see more correction in Aussie and Kiwi. I like the idea. I'm not a momentum guy. I'm not looking to buy the 60. I'm not waiting until it breaks 60 cents to buy. Some guys do that, and they're great at it. I like the idea of seeing if something can build energy on a pullback, hold the levels, and if it doesn't, I'm out.
Well, and to your point, going back to the daily chart on a market like this, I know we started this kind of segment looking at euro and dollar yen, but even this piece here, the last week has kind of settled into this, 59 and change up to 60 and change as the range. Now, you look at the last handful of times that a Kiwi market has rallied from its lows, and they've kind of sold into it and settled into a little bit of a range, and then tried the lower end of the range again. Now, we might be kind of outside of that mode for at least the next few weeks, just because they put so much distance between those lows. I mean, you look here from December until April, they were in this 150 point range at the lows.
Right.
And so every time they would try it lower, it felt like, man, they're mining for new low lows.
Right.
Whereas here, it's pretty much a similar trade to maybe the way you've been trading Kiwi the last few months, which is to say about 100-point range on a weekly basis or so, maybe on a daily basis, to your point, like a 50-point range. We're just at a new price level. And so
if
you're
you
not
roll back another 6 months.
Sure.
And this is what context is all about. Oh, wait, and again, it's flippant of me to say take out 2025 up to this point. Long term, 60 cents is the lower end of a year-long range.
Sure.
So what I'm saying is that you need to be a little bit practical around, when you look at that 15-minute chart, it's like, oh my God, I'm buying a 400 point.
I can't buy. Yeah, my whole point is you can't buy this market because it's 300, 400 points away. Yeah.
Again, if the setup if we're active day traders, swing traders, we're looking for ins and outs during the day or a day or two, we have to accept the ranges that are given to us. And I mean, if we traded down at 57 cents, I'd be really concerned quickly. That would be the catch the falling knife piece. And I wouldn't necessarily, I would have a much harder time coming up with what I wanted to do versus accepting structure now and playing within that.
Yeah.
And what I like is if we go over to Euro or something like that, it's a little bit wider piece here in terms of us looking for that setup. We're almost 200 points off the highs.
Yeah.
So you would argue, well, Pete, if you're 200 points off the high here, it's same thing as Kiwi. You're buying this. I'm not feeling as comfortable with this in terms of the structure if I'm buying 113.50s, where am I getting out?
Sure.
Probably 100 points lower. Friday, I'm not looking for that kind of trade.
And this is one that has those, and this is why Forex is so interesting, because there are sectors of Forex with different dynamics. And you talk about where we started this conversation, yen, and where we are now with this euro. Don't dismiss the amount of time that we've spent up here at 114 at this point, because we're almost, we'll see if they tack on another week of trading in the kind of 113, 114, maybe they're above 114 a little bit. Oh man, they're looking at below 113 for a little bit here. In this euro dollar, this will be close to a month of trading in this kind of confined range, whereas Pete, it sounds like you're a little bit more, I'll say, confident in the potential elasticity of Kiwi and Aussie, because at this part of the range, they've only been hanging out for a couple of days, and they've been trying these commodity currencies higher. And you rewind to not even a year ago, there's a lot more historical case to be made that they could move higher. That, again, there's more elasticity on both sides of this trade, whereas euro dollar or this dollar yen piece, you zoom out and it's like, I don't know how much elasticity there is on both sides of this trade. I could see very well the more, I don't know if you want to call them stable or developed. I always have a hard time categorizing yen, sterling, and euro, but they are different than those commodity currencies. Those have kind of, those three have kind of, are sputtering in my mind a little bit, trying to, with any ideas of trying to find a new range. Whereas those commodity currencies, the switches seem to
be
flip
on a little bit more of a mission.
And it seems
Absolutely.
like I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about, the 58 handle in Kiwi next week, or 62 or higher.
Absolutely. There's more energy there. I think this is still interesting. It's just sloppy. What I mean by sloppy is it's harder. It will drift back and forth here. I don't think we're going to see new lows right away. It's going to have to spend some time down here to build that. But I don't like buying a 350 pip rally right now going into Friday. Again, as we roll out next week, we'll take a look at it with a new set of eyes. But this is what I love is that we can go through. Again, we call them our major pairs, cable, yen, euro, Aussie, Canada, Swissy, Kiwi. There's very different setups in each one of these,
very different,
which is great. And it depends on what you want to accomplish, what you want to do. For me, Friday, I'm going to be a little bit defensive on Friday. I'm going to be a little bit more selective. I'm not looking for home runs. I'm looking to add a little bit of incremental.
Well, and you already got some. What the nice thing is, you already got some markets that are toying with that one standard deviation. When you're looking at this Kiwi or even this dollar yen, if if it continues another 20, 30 points, we're around the standard deviation in both of those. But some interesting setups, Pete.
All right.
We'll
Good
call
stuff,
it a
my
week.
friend.
Yeah.
All right.
Coming up next, Tom, Tony, and Vanetta. Stay tuned, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Got friends? Get $250. We'll give you a bonus for each qualified person you refer to Tasty Trade. So spread the word and earn rewards. Terms and conditions apply.
The market doesn't stop. So why should you? Diversify your portfolio with stocks, options, futures, crypto, and more from Tasty Trade. Focus on the markets that matter to you. See the odds before you trade using curve analysis, IV rank, and more tools. Get industry insights that help you find your next trade right where you need it. Tasty Trade. Download today. Forbes called us best online for options trading. Investopedia, best for options trading, period. With stockbrokers.com, we're number one for options and futures trading. The Motley Fool really likes us. And so does Business Insider. So what else can we say other than boom? Trade like a trader. Tasty Trade. Make your move.
Shake it up, stop when the clock hits 13. Sing 1, 2, 3, 4. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it.